So here we are at the Lincoln New World for the second of our range tests, and this is our second BYD E6. This particular car has 130,000 Ks on the clock. It is a 2019 model. It has an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack, so it has a very large battery. It has a 90 kilowatt permanent magnet motor with 450 Newton meters of torque, so it is very much like driving a diesel with instant throttle response. Today we're going to take this car and we are going to drive it conservatively through Leaston, Rakaya, Timaru, and then bring it back again. We're going to be driving at 90 kilometers per hour. We're going to answer the one question that is obviously everybody buying an EV wants to know: how far can you drive if you drive conservatively? What is the maximum open road range you can get? And that is what we'll be trying to answer. One thing I was asked to give in the next video was a bit of a tour of just the look of the car, etc. It is a utilitarian creature, so power electronics are pretty huge and pretty primitive, but they do the job and they seem to be very reliable. Being a commercial vehicle, the interior is much the same. It is acres of hard black plastic, reminiscent of a mid-2000s Toyota, and I don't know if this is a fake leather or whatever it is, but it's a hard wearing industrial type fabric. Comfy seats with limited adjustment, no Bluetooth, but you know, cruise control, electric windows, all the normal things you would expect in a modern car, and fairly comfy back seats. So we're at the start of our trip. We're at the Lincoln New World fast charger. The car is 100% charged. Thinks we have 400 Ks of range. It lies, there's no way it'll get 400 Ks, but it'll be interesting to see. The last one we did got 330 Ks. This car, just because it doesn't have high efficiency tyres on it, may not be as good. We'll see. It's slightly warmer today, so that'll make a difference. And we'll get moving. So just a quick description of the test we're going to do today. So we'll be driving super conservatively. We'll be doing 90 kilometers per hour, just because that is the most efficient sort of speed for this car where you can stay sane. So 100 Ks will drain the battery significantly faster than 90 Ks, and what we really want to know is how far can you drive in this car and stay sane, and 90 Ks seems like a sane speed. We've now done 20.2 kilometers. The gasometer says we've got 376 kilometers left, and we're at 94% state of charge. I thought I'd talk briefly about why we bought one of these cars for ourselves. So we weren't really looking to sell these initially. We were looking for a car to replace our own Nissan Leaf. So I've had Nissan Leafs since 2016. I've done, between me and my wife, we've done about 250,000 Ks in them. They're excellent cars. The only issue they have is the battery longevity. So as any Nissan Leaf owner will tell you, battery degradation is a real thing. So over time the battery declines in health. Now they're still a great car because they don't use any fuel at that time. So it still works out to be an economic positive, but yes, you know, it's a reality. These cars, they have a very different battery technology. They have what we call a lithium phosphate battery, and they don't degrade in the same manner as a Nissan Leaf does. So, for example, my Nissan Leaf, the one I currently own, I bought it in 2017. It's a 2016 car. It had 10,000 Ks on the clock when I bought it. Now it has 145,000 Ks on the clock, so we've done about 135,000 Ks ourselves. The state of health on the battery when we bought it was 94%. Now that state of health is 64%. To put that into perspective, So that car's original range when we bought it was about 150 k's if you drove it like this, really conservatively. Now it'll do maybe 70 or 80 k's. So it's getting to the point where it's a lot less useful to us and we wanted something with longer range. These cars, well, the original manufacturer's battery warranty on this car in Singapore, which doesn't apply in New Zealand, was 500,000 kilometres. And if you do the maths, the cycle time of this battery is roughly 300 k's. The battery is supposed to be good for 4,000 cycles, so that's 4,000 charges and discharges. So that equals 1.2 million kilometres to 75% state of health. So that's a very long time. The battery theoretically should long outlast the car. We've just turned over 90%, so we're just doing a quick video because we've used 10% of our battery so far, and we've done 32.5 k's when it had changed over. It is slightly behind the other car, but only by a few, like not even a kilometre, so it's tracking along well at the moment. Theoretically I think we should get somewhere around that, between sort of 300 and 330 k's to a charge. Here we are, we've done 45.4 kilometres. We guess some of the things we'll do another 346, and we're 87% state of charge. We're crossing one of Canterbury's beautiful braided rivers. Yep, and these are something that we obviously need to protect. Here we are in Rakaia, and the famous giant salmon. Yep, it's not a pest species at all. So here we are in the beautiful central Canterbury town of Ashburton. We are at 80% state of charge. We've done 74.3 kilometres and we've got 315 kilometres left in the tank according to the gasometer. It is lying, it won't do anywhere near that, but it is still doing pretty well. If I compare it to the previous car we tested, it's almost exactly the same. This car has about 20,000 extra k's on the clock, but with the longevity of these batteries, I think that will make no difference whatsoever. Going to the Somerset Grocer, naturally. Arguably the finest cafe in all of Ashburton. Assuming it's open, which it is not. Here we are at an EA rapid charger on the ChargeNet network. However, that's probably the biggest weakness of this car, is that we can't actually use the fast charging. This car does not have DC charging. So that's the big 50 kilowatt direct current charge. However, it does have AC charging. So you can charge it off this here. It is 22 kilowatt. You require your own cable, which we do have one of in the back of the car. That cable there, we're not going to use it now because we're obviously range testing, but that charger means that basically you can get about 100 kilometers of charge per hour. With that you can, with a couple of hours break, relatively easily drive to Dunedin from Christchurch. So we've made it to the beautiful Rangitada River. We've got 108 k's, we are 71% state of charge, and we've got 278 left on the gasometer. That is, I don't think we'll get that many, but I think we will probably get to Timaru and back on the charge. We're entering Winchester. The historic grain store over there is one of the, that's a really cool building. Unfortunately you can't enter it now, but it is pretty awesome. I think it might even be Category 1 Heritage listed. Yep, we're now at, we've done 128 k's, we are at 260 k's left on the gasometer and 67% state of charge. So still about another 30 odd k's I think until we get to Timaru, but it seems like we will probably get there. We have now made it to Timaru, and interestingly, so we've done 146.6 k's, we're 63% state of charge, and we've got 243 k's left on the gasometer, which lies. But interestingly, with the previous previous car we tested, I am absolutely certain, I'll have to go back and check, that we were at 62% state of charge when we passed that very sign last time we range tested this car, range tested the other car. That car has lower Ks on it than this, and it has, I think it has high efficiency tyres, but it may just be, one thing I do know is it is very slightly warmer today, so it's 10 degrees today and it was only 6 degrees when we did our other test, and that makes a little bit of a difference to range. Probably not that much, but possibly enough. So with Somerset Grocer being closed in Ashburton, we have been starving, and so now we're going to stop at Robert Harris in Timaru for lunch. We have been here a few times before and it has always been good. This just shows you how far we've come with EVs. I didn't actually know there was a supercharger here, but here we are. There is a Tesla supercharger in Timaru by the Robert Harris. Unfortunately we can't use it, but I think one day Tesla will actually open up their supercharger network in New Zealand to other cars. It is an amazing resource. So we are now entering Timaru town. We're just doing a quick video because this is where we ended our journey last time before we turned around and went back. So we have done 153.6 kilometres. We're at 61% state of charge. It thinks we've got 236 k's left. Interesting, so 19.4 kilowatt hours per 100 k's for our last 50 k's, so that's not too bad at all. Yeah, so far it seems to be pretty much on par with the last car, which I think shows just that these batteries are probably pretty consistent in the way they age. You know, that they really don't have a lot of degradation, certainly not at the age and mileage of this car. Like if this was an equivalent Nissan Leaf, even a 40 kilowatt, which has got half the size battery of this, and you're still paying sort of 35 grand for one at least. You know, I've seen them with degradations of around, you know, in the early 80s, late 70s for a 2018 car, the first of them with 100,000 Ks on them. So I think, certainly as far as battery goes, these are much longer lasting. So we're leaving Timaru. We have now done 162.5 kilometres. We've got 59% state of charge left, and it thinks we'll do 227 kilometres more. I have an interesting theory. So having watched Nissan Leaf prices for a very long time, I paid $27,000 for my latest Nissan Leaf in August 2017. It was a 30 kilowatt hour car with a 94% state of health battery. Now interestingly, I've been looking on Traby for similar cars, and if you wanted to buy a 2016 30 kilowatt Leaf with a 94% state of health battery, they're still asking that sort of money for that car now. However, realistically, a car with a 64% health state of health battery like mine is only worth, you know, 10 grand or so. So Nissan Leaf are basically, their value is almost directly proportional to the state of health of their battery. So taking that back to the E6, it seems like battery degradation isn't an issue on these cars. So my theory is that these cars will retain their value because electric vehicles at the moment, and for quite some time to come, certainly down the lower end of the market where we normal people live, they'll be supply side limited. So there'll be a lot less EVs available to buy at that sort of lower price range, 20 grand, 30 grand, than there are, you know, cars available. So if this car retains a battery in, you know, a useful 300k range when it's got 200,000 or 300,000 Ks on the clock, then I suspect its value to sell will not be much different than it is now with the Ks it's got on it. Certainly it won't devalue like a Nissan Leaf does. We've done 180 Ks pretty much on the nose. We have got 54% state of charge left and 207 kilometres left on the gasometer. Quick update because we've just passed over 50% of the state of charge. Interestingly, we've got 193 kilometres travelled, and we've got 190 kilometres to go on the range meter. That is exactly the same result as my car gives, and my car's only got 74,000 k's on it, so it's only got half the mileage of this car, yet the actual battery results are identical. It is within a couple of kilometres. So I think that really does tell you these batteries just don't age in the same way that an NMC battery, that's a nickel manganese cobalt battery, like a Leaf or a lot of the other EVs which have a lighter battery. You know, these lithium phosphate batteries, they just last a very long time. They don't suffer from that same degradation. Anyway, we'll update when we get to our next little town. Just entering Hines. We have done 213 k's, 214 k's really. We've got 168 k's left on the gasometer, and we're at 45% state of charge. We are back in Ashburton again. We have done 228 kilometres. We've got 41% state of charge left, and we are the gasometer thinks we've got 151 kilometres remaining. We don't, but that's what it says. But you know, it looks like we're going to get all the way back to Lincoln, I think, without any issues, and I guess we'll see. But it's going well. I'm constantly seeing on Facebook these comments about how New Zealand can't handle electric cars, and how they're terrible from the point of view that, you know, they're going to destroy the electricity grid, and they're going to be basically much more expensive for New Zealand. And it personally annoys me quite a lot. So if you look at electric vehicles and compare them to petrol vehicles, what you have to take into account is that New Zealand spends about $4 billion a year on imported transport fuel. So fuel that's money which we give to another country, right, that leaves our balance of payments, right, and we then effectively just burn it to move around. New Zealand moving to electric car vehicles is great for our economy. You know, I mean, we move, sure, we'll have to upgrade some infrastructure, but let's face it, electricity is everywhere. But we'll move from $4 billion going offshore to all of our fuel being made in New Zealand by New Zealanders. All of that infrastructure made by New Zealanders. You know, I mean, it'll be great for our economy. So, sure, we will lose some money maybe in taxes, but ultimately, that additional money which we've now got going into our economy, rather than spending it and giving it to another country, will be much better for New Zealanders. And I think that, as a general rule, New Zealanders should be really pro EVs, even just for that one reason, that it will be really great for our economy. So we're about 5 k's from Lincoln, and we've just got the please recharge sign. We've got 19% state of charge left. We've done almost 300 k's, so 299.5 k's. So tracking along reasonably well. Thinks we're going to do another 59 k's, but I think that's highly unlikely. I think it'll be around 320 k's by the time we surrender, but I guess we will see. Re-entering Lincoln, the lovely town of Lincoln, and we have got 17% on the state of charge, 51 k's remaining, and we've done 307 k's. Just about to turn into the Lincoln New World, and we're just doing this because this is what we did last time. We will continue journeying around, but we're just going to go to the same place that we did in the last range test and give the same numbers as we did, so you can see compared to the other car we've done exactly the same trip pretty much. So we'll just briefly stop here. So we've done 308 k's so far. We've got 17% on the gasometer left on the state of charge, and 50 k's on the gasometer. The interesting thing is that the previous car we drove, that's the same as this with 20,000 k's less, I am sure, I'll have to go look at the video, that we, at the same point, we had 17% charge left. So I think this is performing identically to the other car. Anyway, we're now going to head out and drive it around until it is, till we get so scared that we stop. Probably when it's got 6% charge and 1k battery left, like the last car. We're now showing 6% state of charge and 2k is remaining, so it's pretty clear the car does keep quite a reserve of power. We could probably drive quite a bit further. A friend of mine actually has done that. He reckoned he got 15k's after the gauge got to 0 on one of these. I guess the one thing that does surprise me a little is we're actually very close to what the other car did. I mean, the other car did 336k's to the charger. We're going to do 334, something like that. We're about a kilometre from the charger, something like that. It's uncanny similar. Slightly warmer day. However, this has got less efficient tyres on it. But, I mean, you couldn't be unhappy with that. We have arrived back at our charging location at Lincoln New World. And we have 5% and 0k's, and I have got too scared basically. Maybe we could drive a bit more, but I've got afraid. So we're going to pull up here and call it a day and charge this car. We have actually decided what we're going to pricing on these, so we're going to put them on Trade Me. They will be $26,990 start as reserve, or $28,990 buy now. We feel that's pretty fair. It is significantly cheaper than a 40 kilowatt Leaf, which is a car with half of the battery and arguably nowhere near the battery longevity of this car, and at least for me, that's what counts. So we're just back at the car. It's now fully charged, so we did it charged completely. It took about 4 hours in the name of science, and it took 82.17 kilowatt hours into the battery from the charger. So there's some inefficiency of the charger. I don't know what that number is, and the car still had 5% battery left, so that's pretty impressive. I mean, that would indicate the battery is actually in really good condition. And it's interesting because it's consistent with the other cars. They're all the same, so it seems like battery degradation isn't really a big issue.